You ever watch 40,000 people cheer while your whole life gets bulldozed on live stream? Because let me tell you, that's exactly what happened to me. They flattened my lakeside cabin. Every stick of furniture, every memory I ever made with Emily, my late wife, while the HOA president danced in rhinestones, grinning for her phone like she just won the lottery. All because I refused to cough up $800 in bogus fees. Now, you probably think you know how this story ends. Old man gets crushed, villain walks away, but you don't. Not even close. Because I had damn good reasons for saying no, and trust me, Kathy Morrison picked the wrong retiree to make an example of. See, the sun wasn't even up yet that morning. I'm out on the porch, coffee in hand, watching the water catch fire in the dawn, my favorite kind of quiet, right before the world starts spinning, and then I hear it. Rumble. The kind of sound you don't want to hear at your front door unless you ordered a new foundation. Out rolls this monstrous bulldozer, and right behind it, a hot pink SUV with HOA president spelled out in actual rhinestones. Yeah, you heard me. Rhinestones, like Liberace and a used car lot had a baby. And out she pops, all 55 glittering years of her, hair sprayed to within an inch of its life, nails that could pick a lock, every inch of her sparkling, and a phone glued to her hand, already live streaming. Good morning, community warriors. Kathy shouts, fixing her ring light. Yeah, she brought a ring light to demolish my house. I'm sitting there in a bathrobe, looking every bit the confused old man she wants me to be, and she's got 40,000 people in her chat, just baying for blood. This elderly deadbeat, she says, zooming in on my face, refused to pay his HOA fees, $800, plus $47 in late penalties. He thinks he's above the rules. Comments are rolling in. Crush it. Make him pay. Folks eating popcorn at home like this is American Gladiators for people who never made varsity. But here's what none of them knew. That HOA was as fake as a $3 bill. No legal filing. No rail board. No authority, but what Kathy bullied people into. I spent 30 years in the FBI chasing down scams, and this one smelled worse than last week's fish. She'd been extorting the elderly all over Victoria Lakes, inventing fees and penalties out of thin air, counting on nobody fighting back. But I'd done my homework. Let her talk. Let her document every threat for her audience. My phone's recording app was catching every word, every criminal confession, every evidence of elder abuse. All while I played dumb on the porch, hands shaking, playing to her script. You should have seen the poor kid in the bulldozer. Looked like he'd been tricked into auditioning for a demolition derby. Meanwhile, Kathy's prancing around, making him film every flower bed. She pointed at Emily's roses, my wife's pride and joy before the accident 2 years ago. Make sure you get the garden. That's when it stopped being a game. That's when it got personal. And then, right as she's posing for her audience, basking in all that internet validation, her face goes white. She's staring at me, hands shaking, and she stammers into her phone. Wait, I know that face. Agent Harper? No, you're supposed to be broken. You're supposed to be in a nursing home. That's when the crowd watching got their first hint. This wasn't some random HOA beef. This was revenge, 10 years in the making. See, back in 2014, I put Kathy Morrison away for wire fraud, stealing retirement funds from seniors, running fake investment schemes. 3 years in federal prison, and every day she spent in that cell, she dreamed up new ways to make me pay. She wasn't enforcing rules this morning. She was settling a grudge. And the wildest part? Her own live stream was turning into a federal evidence tape. While her followers ate it up, my phone buzzed. Text from my kids. Dad, federal backup inbound. Asset protection mode. Evidence secure. Let me tell you about my kids. Sophia, FBI financial crimes. Ethan, Homeland Security. Lucas, postal inspector. Some dads teach their kids baseball. Mine can recite RICO statutes and track a money trail through 3 shell companies before breakfast. Not your typical family, I know. Meanwhile, Kathy's showboating for the camera, screaming at her audience that this is personal. Harper ruined my life. Now I'm ruining his. But the crowd is starting to wise up. Comment section turns. Is this legal? Why are feds showing up for an HOA? Who is this guy? Right then, 3 black SUVs glide up, government plates, like they choreographed the whole entrance for prime time. Out steps Sophia. Looks like she just stepped off the cover of Forbes, cool as ice. No badge visible. just sharp suit, sunglasses, and that aura of somebody who doesn't bluff. "Dad, you okay?" she asks, and the live stream loses its mind. Kathy could have cut the feed right there, saved herself a world of pain. But narcissists don't walk away from an audience. She doubled down, cranked up the drama, and tried to shame me in front of 100,000 people now tuned in. Next out is Ethan, military posture, scanning the scene, moving like he's still on an op. Then Lucas, in full postal inspector kit. If you don't know, postal inspectors don't mess around. He starts taking evidence, documenting everything, while Kathy's nephew Derek, poor guy's been stress-eating McDonald's all morning, starts to sweat bullets. Derek's wife, Anna, is texting him nonstop, "Get out of there." Those are real federal agents. Derek looks ready to bolt, but Kathy won't let up. "Keep filming. We'll sue them all." She's convinced this is her ticket to internet stardom, not realizing she's live-streaming a confession to federal racketeering. Sophia finally drops the act. Badge flashes, the chat erupts. That's FBI. She's a Fed. Now Ethan and Lucas show their credentials. Kathy's face, pure panic, but she still won't back down. "This is a setup," she screams. "They're framing me." Even as Emily's garden is flattened, I'm standing calm, because I know what's coming. But just when you think you've seen it all, Kathy's phone rings. She looks at the screen, all the color drains out of her face, and she mutters, "This is impossible." Caller ID says Emily Harper, my wife. Dead 2 years, supposedly. Kathy puts the call on speaker, can't help herself. The live stream audience loses its mind. Ghost call. Dead wife alive. But the voice on the other end is very much alive, clear as day. "Kathy, I've been waiting for your call." Emily Harper, in witness protection these past 2 years, orchestrating the biggest elder abuse sting in the country. The car accident? A cover, so she could finish the case in secret. Kathy's entire world collapses on camera. My 3 kids, Emily, all federal agents, every angle covered. Emily steps out of the SUV, badge in hand, evidence in the briefcase, ready to dismantle Kathy's entire operation for an audience of now 300,000. She lays out the case. 47 fake HOAs, millions laundered, targeting widows and retirees across 12 states. Derek crumbles, confesses everything. Anna's crying, hugging him, the crowd around us in stunned silence as federal agents descend, arresting Kathy's cronies, seizing assets, shutting down her social media empire in real time. You want cinematic justice? Try watching every dollar stolen from those victims flow back into their accounts. Try seeing Mrs. Rodriguez, 83, get the deed to her house and her life savings back while the news cameras roll. Derek, once a reluctant accomplice, now serving meals at the senior center, finally free of guilt. Anna, elected as the first real community president, running on transparency and real democracy. And as for Kathy, life in federal prison, stripped of every rhinestone, every follower, every ounce of power. Her final post, a pathetic attempt to claim she was the victim of a federal conspiracy, nobody believed it. The woman who built an empire out of humiliation and fraud spent her last days as a cautionary tale in mandatory prison seminars. But if you think that's the end, think again. The case set off a wave, new laws, new protections. The Emily Harper Elder Protection Act, making sure no community ever faces a predator like Kathy again. My family, together on the porch of a rebuilt cabin, watching the sun rise, knowing Emily's 2 years in hiding changed federal law for millions. Sometimes justice comes slow, sometimes it comes loud and live-streamed, with the whole world watching. So here's my advice. If you're out there thinking about scamming an old man for a few bucks, you might want to double-check who's sitting on that porch. Because sometimes, the quiet ones have the loudest stories and the strongest backup you'll ever see. Now, tell me, was that justice, or was it just payback? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about what real accountability looks like, who deserves a second chance, and whether the system really works when good people stand together. Because, you know what? Sometimes, karma needs a little federal help.